talk about this.
Good morning. We got a great turnout. This is wonderful. What are you guys looking to accomplish by taking space at the Mega Mixer? Just anyone want to throw something out why you're coming?
Business.
Who said that?
Getting business.
How are you going to do it?
Oh, I have my notes.
Ah, okay.
I have a plan.
Well, good. I hope you learned something from Mike and Barbara on that one too. A trade show is about increasing your visibility, and ultimately it's about getting business. It's about increasing your revenue. A trade show is a part of your overall marketing strategy and it's part of your branding strategy, and how you look and how you act and how you present yourself really reflects on your image for the company and how people perceive you. So what I'm here to talk about is creating some displays. There's a lot of different options. Some are pretty inexpensive, some can be a little more costly. None of them are out of the world. So as you go through this, think of if you're doing tabletops, if you're doing 10-foot shows, what your audience is, and it'll give you some different things to chew on. Go ahead, Mike. All right. You've all probably walked through a trade show. You walk through, you scan people, you look left and right. If it doesn't catch your eye, you're gone. I know I've walked tons of shows in my life, and something's got to really grab me, or I'm looking for something specific. Otherwise, people are just going to walk right past you. So what you have to do is create different ways to stand out. Graphics, obviously, is a great way to grab attention, and a lot of what a trade show is going to be graphically based. There's a lot of different ways that you can accomplish it. An inexpensive way is a banner. Now, by the way, you see my stuff set up here. It's not just shameless promotion. Part of it is to show you what things look like live. None of what I did here is expensive, because I'm cheap. So graphics is one way to do it. All right. Sometimes you can use 3 different banners like this in multiple different ways. If you have a story like that, you can put 3 together. You can also then separate them. If you give talks to certain groups, but you have one banner that's more appropriate for that talk, you can keep it with you for that talk and just put it up on the side. So you can mix and match them to use them for different situations. Click. All right. The table covering is it's an inexpensive and easy way for people to see who you are. Everybody can see, for the most part, my logo. As you have and gain visibility in your target area, and it's another way for people to say, oh, I know them, and they'll stop in to say hello to you. All right, displays can range from pretty basic to pretty extravagant. None of ours are extravagant because they're all really made for portability. These are just 2 very inexpensive ones. This is kind of an example of the one on the right. It took me, 8 seconds to put it together. It's lightweight, comes in a case, you keep the graphics on it, you're done. You can go to something like this, which is a little bigger and a little more dramatic of an impression. They can go from 40 inches high up to 5 feet tall on top of a table. I've done some for people who they'll use that, and then they'll use 2 banners in the corners so that they have this on a table in the back, where they're going to get a little bit of one story told, and then they'll tell a different story on each side, so people are getting exposed from every direction as they're walking past them. Again, if you go to a larger type of a show where it's actually a booth and you have a 10-foot space where people are really being inundated and everyone's doing a display, then there are different ways that you can create different looks that will catch people's eyes. It all goes back to how you catch people's eyes and the story that you're telling on it. One thing I think that is critical is that you can't just have a fancy graphic that doesn't have anything to do, because people are there for a reason. They're sick of being harassed as they walk down an aisle. You need to tell your story so that it points immediately, why do you need to come into my space? A lot of you are going to bring literature. One of the things that I say, do not bring photocopies. Don't bring something that's not going to make you look good. So if you're going to print something, put it on some kind of a brochure stock. You can go on to, there's obviously local printers who work with you. There's overnight sources. Do it nicely. Make it presentable and professional. Go back. Don't just throw it on a table, though. All right, if you're going to have a lot of brochures or catalogs or stuff you want to hand out, get a nice brochure holder so that it will leave your table space clean and you're going to look a little bit more organized. Yes?
Previous slide, you had a lot of, a couple of them had lights. What's the significance of lights? Is it just a greater attention getter?
Yeah, it's not an attention getter, but it can highlight and spotlight a little bit on your display, and particularly it depends on the location. I don't know if you've ever done a show at the Javits Center. It's like the death of light in there. So if you can bring your own lights, it makes it a little bit better. Yes?
This is my first year exhibiting,
Okay.
and do I get the impression that the table's in the back and therefore you would be in front of the table, in other words, not sitting behind the table, based on what I see?
If you have a display like this, absolutely. To the side, to the front, and I actually spoke with Ebony before the show. You have a pretty small space at the show. 6 foot wide table, elbow room as they call it on the sides, and 2 chairs behind you. Right. If you want to get rid of your chairs, the goal of it is you cannot take up your neighbor's space. That's like an etiquette no-no. So you can get rid of the chairs if you're comfortable standing for 4 or 5 hours, and just push your table back a little bit if you want a little bit of standing room. Or this place is set up so that there's plenty of room for you to just stand in the aisle too.
But I mean, the way you have that, the example would be, of course, where you're standing in front.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
Right.
not sitting behind the sign.
Correct.
So the choice is yours.
Yeah.
Put the sign there or sit behind.
Well, yeah, if you're going to have that, if you sit behind, you're going to be very lonely.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you have the spotlight on you from behind.
Okay.
Mark, can I ask you? Is there a way to have a sign above you? Like, what if you just want your company name?
You can't hang a banner.
Okay.
I saw somebody last year who had this very interesting construction where he had this all framed out and it was like a homemade type of thing, so he had his sign in the back. It's a little bit difficult. I've been looking for something like that. I haven't come across anything that's good that effectively gives you that type of concept, but
Right.
6 feet tall and horizontally.
But it seems like if there was like a tall easel with it.
I haven't come across that one yet. Yes?
If the place is very crowded and there's only elbow room from your table to the next table next to you, then that means that you can't really put that kind of side banner, right?
A lot of people put them behind their space. I did last year at the show. I wasn't necessarily expecting to. But because you're not really on top of people, there's enough room as people are talking to you. So if you do something like this and you design it, the table's only 29 inches tall usually. Okay, this goes up to almost 7 feet. So if you design it, you really can design it so that the most important stuff is visible as people walk by. It is a little bit of a challenge at a show like this. Yes?
How many exhibitors do we expect this year?
1,300 exhibitors? No, 200, I'm sorry. 1,300 attendees, right? 200 exhibitors?
200 is a goal.
Usually 220.
We usually have a waiting list.
Yeah, we usually have over 200, so we expect the things to get pretty much.
I've done the show for 2 years. Having never really, I kind of moved my business more up into Westchester in the beginning of '07. And this was really, the Mega Mix was my entree into Westchester, and the attendance was great, the reception was great. I've gotten business ultimately from other exhibitors at the show. It's a really good way to get out in front of people. Okay.